Good afternoon, everyone. Dear esteemed jury and guests, thank you again for having me here to present my abstract today under the theme Fertility, Menstrual Regulation Service, a success story to address inequity built over the years in Bangladesh. I am Fariya Rahman, working as research investigator in icddr. So, as we are going to talk about menstrual regulation, let us know what menstrual regulation is. MR is a process to regulate the menstrual cycle when menstruation is absent for a short duration, and this process involves either manual vacuum aspiration or a combination drug. In Bangladesh, the allowed timeline for this menstrual regulation is up to 12 weeks of gestation. Since we have started talking about Bangladesh here, let us have a little history tour. In 1860, the British government has banned abortion in Indian subcontinent, and since then the rule or the law remained unchanged until 1971 when we got our independence. And since then our leaders are working towards women's choice to practice their reproductive and bodily right. And as a result, in 1979 MR was introduced in National Family Planning Program. So as we are going to talk about the right here, we need to know that whether the rights are being exerted by women of all socioeconomic background, or is it actually leveraging the only a privileged class. And to justify that question, we need to have set an objective to analyze if women of all wealth quintiles and different residence background have equal opportunity to take leverage of MR service over the decade or not. To analyze this question, no other data set could have been better than the Bangladesh Demographic Health Survey, as we have used the pool data from 2007 to 2017 and 18, and they have followed a cross-sectional study design. Our sample size was 66,735 ever married women of the age 15 to 49 years of age. And for our outcome of interest, we have used the variable ever used MR. For our data analysis, we have done rich to poor ratio and concentration index. Moving forward, let's see how our data and result look like. From 2007 to 2017, the percentage of women using MR remained relatively unchanged, but in 2011 we have seen a sudden hike. However, since then it has actually been decreasing. Let us see what our divisions are doing. We see that MR has been used mostly in Borishal and Rajshahi in comparison to other divisions throughout the period. But interestingly, although MR uptake was very low in Sylhet throughout the period, but in 2017 it increased drastically, followed by now the most important question: which women are actually taking MR or using the MR service? It is very clear from here that rich quintiles women are actually accessing MR more than poor quintile. However, since 2011, though their tendency of using MR is decreasing, but the tendency of poor quintiles women is actually increasing. Our main objective here was to found is equity being ensured while delivering MR for all women regardless of their pocket size. And we found that though we still have to wait to reach our utopian society of equity, but we are actually making substantial progress towards it. A very interesting finding from here is women from the relatively poor background and poor community of the rural areas use MR more than the privileged background in the rural areas. And when we go to the divisional performance, we see that although all divisions are actually taking the baby steps toward equity, but Chittagong is apparently doing good and approaching equity faster than any other. So far, what we have talked till now was a bit statistically heavy. Let's simplify it. Let's see what's happening here now. In the year 2007, for one poor woman who had used MR, there were 4 rich women who used MR, and the situation remained unchanged till 2017. What happened in 2017? A plot shifted. And this is the plot here. For one woman from the poor quintile availing MR service, there were only 2 women from the rich quintile who used MR. What does it indicate? It indicates that we are marching towards equity. And we want to say that it's a success story here. At the last, I want to finish with some of the highlights here. This study is the first of its kind to report and acknowledge the overarching effort both the government and non-government entities are putting in reducing the equity gap in various socio-economic tiers availing MR. And we wanted to use a pragmatic lens to approach and to report these MR services with a very positive connotation. Now, from the findings we see that SRHR services like MR has comprehensive capacity and wider reach as it is used large in number across all the divisions and urban and rural settings. The most important and this most interesting finding is as BDHS has taken data only from the ever married women, it also indicates that the use of MR actually was availed by the women not only because of their heightened societal vulnerability, which could have been the case if we could have taken data from the unmarried women. But for this case, it is actually due to their awareness regarding family planning and exertion of bodily autonomy and SRHR rights. I thank you all.